So whether it's out of love of animals, men trying to improve blood flow to their people trying to keep their from going, or just people concerned that our is basically going up in, seems like everybody going vegan these days, or at least thinking about it. But for some reason people seem to think it's really difficult and you have to give up eating all your favorite foods and start eating grass and no. Calm your face. You wanna go vegan? This is how hard it is. So if you wanna get meat out of your diet, replace it with meat. If you wanna get cheese out of your diet, replace it with 3 different kinds of cheese, topped with 3 different kinds of meat, all of which contain 0 cholesterol. Boom! Hey, you took my slice!
Man, this guy's such a liar. Vegan cheese sucks.
Oh yeah? Boom! Italy, mother lovers, they invented pizza. Atomic! And as far as getting ice cream out of your diet, and now you're vegan. Congratulations. Wait, is it really that easy? Oh yeah, and obviously don't torture and kill animals for your clothes either, like this popular dog fur coat, but also cow skin, sheep hair, and bird feathers. More info on that and vegan options at the ballot box, link below. So that's it. That's how you can go vegan if you're doing it so that you no longer pay people to cage, shoot, and stab animals to death on your behalf, and to drastically reduce your contribution to the climate emergency and mass extinction. But even when it comes to your health, plant-based comfort food is still healthier than rotting corpse-based junk food for reasons we'll explain in the full video. But if you're like me and you want to live long enough to see what life on other planets looks like and survive until the Star Trek age, then you need to be looking into what is called a whole foods plant-based diet. And I don't really know much about that, so I'm going to talk to somebody who does. A certified nutritionist and all-around friendly giant by the name of Hench Herbivore out in the UK. He might even bring a friend. Full videos linked below. Tag a friend who you think is open-minded enough to benefit from this, and welcome to the V-GANG. Okay, so now the camera's rolling. So thank you so much, Paul, Hench Herbivore, for joining me. Jumping right into the questions, actually, before we talk about the basics of a whole food plant-based diet, for anybody who's watching this who's still on the fence, who isn't really decided, who's maybe thinking about going vegan, can you talk about maybe some of the fundamental intrinsic differences between plant and animal-based protein and plant and animal-based fat? And the reason I ask that is because comment that I get frequently from people saying, oh, meat's not the problem. It's really, you stupid North Americans, you inject your animals with hormones. Sure. Over here in Europe, it's fine. Or family, when we kill an animal on a family farm, it's friendly, it's different, So maybe if you could just address the fundamental differences.
Yeah. So really, on a basic level, we eat beef, we eat lentils, we chew it up, our enzymes break it down. By the time we digest it, and then it's not protein, it's the constituent amino acids that are absorbed through the wall of the small intestine into the bloodstream. So at that point, it's sort of irrelevant where they came from. Your body won't know. It's the building blocks. So it's the amino acids that we're after. And so, and while it is true that animal proteins are more bioavailable than plant proteins, there's a few reasons why plant proteins are better. For example, animal products are acidifying. We need to be slightly alkaline. So we actually pull amino acids from our muscle tissue. It goes to our liver to create, they all turn into glutamine basically. So we'll take glutamine from our muscles, we'll turn other aminos into glutamine, which is alkalizing, so it buffers the acid in our blood. While we're younger and our testosterone is high, it kind of offsets the damage. But into middle and older ages, you'll start to slow down the growth. And in old age, we'll see accelerated muscle loss from that. There's also, animal proteins come with a lot of advanced glycation end products, which basically they accelerate aging throughout all the tissues of the body. So in the muscle tissue, it causes cross-linking of proteins, which causes dysfunction, eventually atrophy. And then there's endotoxins, which come with meat. They always come with the meat. They cause massive inflammation in the body. So some of those aminos are made into C-reactive protein, again by the liver, to quell this inflammation. The net result is, from all these things, on balance, vegans typically have more serum albumin than non-vegans, so they have more available protein with which to build muscle.
Amazing. And just a quick question for people who don't know what endotoxins are. Are those environmental toxins that bioaccumulate into the flesh of animals? Is that what we're talking about?
I believe they come from slaughterhouses. It's some sort of, I don't know if it's some sort of bacteria. When the bacteria dies and then it releases these endotoxins from the bacteria. I think that's the science.
I see.
And then with the fats we're really after are the polyunsaturated fats, omega-3 and 6. You know, these are essential to get in your diet. You can get omega-3 from fish, but of course the oceans are kind of the sewers of mankind, so everything ends up in the ocean. So you get heavy metals, industrial chemicals, pesticides. You know, they bioaccumulate up the food chain, and toxins store in fat. So if you're having fish oil, you're just getting a massive amount of these pollutants. And of course now there's the micro plastics in fish as well. So being just, and these are hormone disrupting. So if you want to get feminized, you know, eat plenty of fish.
Yeah, that's actually kind of building on my next point, but while we're touching on the subject, you know, there's studies showing that vegan men, actually I think it was British Cancer Society did the study showing that vegan men have higher testosterone levels than animal eaters.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they fully explain that, but I think the environmental toxins, estrogen would explain it. I think the estrogen in dairy products actually might be another.
70% of dairy cows are pregnant at any given time. So at that time, actual mammalian estrogen is through the roof. You know, these sort of phytoestrogens, you know, they're like 1/10,000th as powerful. There's a mammalian estrogen, which is obviously what we have. So, you know, if you want to flood yourself with estrogen, drink milk. Yeah, that's huge.
Exactly.
And then as well, so that's the omega-3. Omega-6, in animals, that's the long chain version. That's called arachidonic acid. Again, it's hugely pro-inflammatory. So it's, you know, it can lead to depression, disease, you know, pain in your joints and things like that. Mostly the biggest contributors of arachidonic acid are chicken and eggs. So bodybuilders will be flooding themselves with these pro-inflammatory compounds. Whereas from the plant protein, you know, it's not half as bad. We basically build as much arachidonic acid as we need. You know, if we get an infection, we may want to build some inflammation, but we build what we need, you know, and kind of no more. So it's a lot kinder to our bodies.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, in the macro level, animal foods contain barely any fiber. Plant foods are rich.
Animal foods contain zero fiber. And we now know.
And virtually no antioxidants.
No antioxidants. Like there's virtually every single essential nutrient comes from plants, you know. But with the animal products, you know, I was going to get onto the other fats. You know, you're getting cholesterol, trans fats, saturated fat. These are the things that are killing people, you know. I think in the West, on the whole, every other person is affected by heart disease. 1 in 3 will die of heart disease, you know, and that is pretty much a choice. In whole plant foods, you don't get cholesterol, you don't get trans fats. You do get some saturated fat, which is why I don't advocate to eat a lot of oil and things, because olive oil is 14% saturates by weight. So
actually, I want to come back to the point about fats later, so we can talk about healthy fats, because on a whole food plant-based diet, you're actually going to be getting very little fat. So remind me, in case I asked you, that we want to talk about what are the healthy fats you actually do want to get, because your body does need some
so
fat,
what we're really after is the essential fatty acids. They're called omega-3 and omega-6. Omega-3, you can get the long chain version, which people sometimes get from fish. From algae, so you can get like an algae supplement to get direct DHA. And I do advise my clients to take 250 to 500 milligrams a day of that. It's a good little safeguard. However, if we're eating enough of the short chain ALA and not too much of the short chain omega-6, you know, and we're eating adequate, so like, you know, 2 or 3 tablespoons of chia or flax seeds, they must be ground. You know, we should be fine. However, some people may have a genetic mutation where perhaps they don't produce the enzyme elongase, which elongates the short chain plant versions into the animal versions. Again, like I was alluding to, if we've got too much omega-6, the elongase can be used up and then we don't make enough DHA, you know, from the short chain omega-3. So that's something to bear in mind. But with the supplement of the DHA, it's not such a concern.
Right, and omega-3 is so good for you. It can't hurt to take a supplement. There's so much science showing how important it is. And also, I mean, if you do eat vegan junk food, if you're not 100% whole food plant-based, and you get a little extra omega-6, well, if you take the omega-3 supplement, that balances it out. But for me, I mean, just because both of us we live off of our brains.
Yes.
And omega-3 is so correlated to brain health.
Yeah.
Everybody needs their brain to be healthy. It certainly can't hurt, and it's algae.
Yeah.
Tiny ecological footprint.
And it's cheap as chips as well. The supplement is it's pennies.
Yeah. So actually, fats. The question on fats leads into my next question. This is still for people who might be on the fence. So, this is a really important point for men who are watching, because the vegan revolution, if we want to call it that, is very female dominated. I think there's something like a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 ratio currently in the vegan population of women to men, because men have these absurd ideas about, it's masculine to pay someone else to slaughter a defenseless animal for you, which is absurd. But one point I think that's going to make a lot of men interested in veganism, especially when the Game Changers movie comes out, which I was lucky to see a preview of that, and there's one scene that's very powerful.
Yes.
And that's the way that keeping your arteries unclogged is important for all of your organs.
Yeah.
Especially the one organ that men care about most. So, I don't know if you can speak on that.
So yeah, there's a rule called the 40/40 rule, and in the UK we say that 40% of men over age 40 will suffer with erectile dysfunction. And now we used to think that was psychological. We now know, it's atherosclerosis. It's just the arteries getting filled up. Number one killer of humans, coronary artery, heart disease. The arteries feeding the penis are much smaller, so they're going to get filled up first. So, that can be a little warning sign. And the American College of Cardiology, they say if our serum LDL is low enough, we are heart attack proof. We're looking for 57 milligrams per deciliter or lower, and they're saying we're heart attack proof.
Yeah. So it's basic physics, really. It's not just biology; it's physics. I mean, if you don't keep your arteries clear, then the blood flows well. Yeah. And animal-based fats is what's going to clog your arteries.
And not only the clogging, but also animal fats are vasoconstricting as well, so they'll tighten the arteries up. Mm-hmm. You also get the same effect from plant oils, which is another reason I advocate whole foods rather than processed foods. And so, as you alluded to in the Game Changers movie. They gave the athletes, didn't they? There was an experiment. The first night they ate the first night they ate beef burritos. And they measured nocturnal erections with I think it was called a radioscope or something like that. And the second night they gave them bean burritos, and they measured the firmness of the erection and the duration of erections. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Gabriel, I seem to remember it was something like 13 to 15% firmer erections with the bean burrito, and somewhere around 300 to 500% longer duration. Is that how you remember it?
It was something like that.
Yeah.
It was absurd.
It was ridiculous.
I don't know. Yeah, and the athletes themselves were laughing about
that
it.
Doctor,
I don't know.
That doctor, he had such a wide grin, and he said, "This is good news for people with penises and people that enjoy penises."
Yeah, and that's the lead penis doctor in the United States, lead urologist.
Nice.
So,
and that was from one meal. That was from one meal. Just think if your whole life is like that.
I think after that movie comes out, there's going to be a rush for the veggie burgers. Yeah. That's for sure. So now that hopefully the interest of men is peaked in a whole food plant-based diet, maybe you could talk about, what is it? What are the basics? What's the difference between just being vegan and what's a whole food plant-based diet?
So, vegan, that's not a very useful term in terms of nutrition. It's an ethical sort of label, but it just tells me what you're not eating, So you could be eating donuts and, potato chips and, you could be drinking beers, and that would be vegan, but that wouldn't have the same life expectancy as lentils, quinoa and kale. Nothing like it. So that's the important thing. So I advocate legumes, whole grains, fruit, veg, nuts, seeds, herbs and spices. And it just is clinically proven, the preponderance of data is overwhelming, and it's very obvious that the more whole plants we eat and the less processed foods and animal foods we eat, the longer and better we live,
Right. So it's really, if you're interested in, it's really just about avoiding junk food, if you could put it that way, processed food.
Yes.
And when it comes to those healthy fats, so the follow-up question, because you do need a certain amount of healthy fats, where should we get them from?
So I really advocate that my clients eat chia and or flax seeds. So they're skewed in favour of omega-3, which is anti-inflammatory. So they're 3 or 4 to 1 in favour of the anti-inflammatory omega-3. We do need some omega-6 as well. So for that reason, I advocate, eat a similar amount of other nuts and seeds, and they tend to be skewed in favour of the omega-6. And that's really the main ones. Like the other fats not so important, and we manufacture them ourselves. Some people remember Joe Rogan famously saying, "Oh, how can vegans? Why can't vegans form a conclusion?" or something he said, because they don't have any cholesterol. Form an opinion, that was it. Well, we synthesize cholesterol from a compound called acetyl coenzyme A, which we produce. So, it's a constituent of every cell wall. So if we'd had no cholesterol, well, there'd be a lot less vegans walking around,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing a study once that said that regardless of the rest of the diet, people who eat tree nuts live longer than people who do not eat tree nuts. So, almonds, walnuts, and walnuts, of course, good source of omega-3. So
yes, that's true.
Definitely a healthy source of fats.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good source. I'm big on the peanut butter and hummus and avocado. That's where I personally go for.
Nice.
So quick question on, because I know B12 is a big topic, and everyone says you should take a B12 supplement. I personally got my blood tested for B12, and I don't take supplements, and I have good levels of B12. I do eat nutritional yeast. I don't know if that just counts as a supplement, but could you talk about the bioavailability of B12? So nutritional yeast, or say if you drink soy milk and it has B12 added to it, is that just as good as taking a supplement?
Yeah, that is a supplement. Basically, it's supplemented with B12, so it's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And we do store some for a while as well in the liver. So, but typically after about 4 or 5 years, most people, I think their stores are used up. So it's an important one to make sure we get in.
Okay, so we already covered the omega-3. That was going to be one of my questions. You already spoke about heart disease, and I had the stats. It's 600,000 Americans die every year. It's the leading cause of death in the Western world.
Totally avoidable.
1 in 4 deaths.
Yeah,
1 in 4 deaths in the United States is heart disease. So you look at the amount of money that's spent into anti-terrorism. Yeah. We're not saying it shouldn't be spent. You need to prevent terrorism, but I think there's several hundred or several dozen people killed on average by terrorism a year, and 600,000.
Less than 600,000.
Imagine if you spent that money on... imagine you spend that money on vegan education, plant-based education, on subsidizing healthy foods instead of subsidizing animal foods. Yeah, it's absurd.
It's a crazy world.
So assuming someone now is interested, they want to go to a whole food plant-based diet. Is this going to break the bank? Is this just a diet for rich people?
With the whole foods version of a vegan diet, it's the cheapest diet on the planet. So someone on a budget, I would invite them to buy like sacks of lentils, sacks of brown rice, frozen berries, frozen greens. This is the healthiest food on the planet, and it's the cheapest food. We feed grains and like soybeans to cattle to fatten them up. Well, it's going to be a lot cheaper to just eat them ourselves. It's got to be cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look in the grocery store and compare any animal flesh to lentils. And that was actually my next question is about red lentils, because I'd say you did a video about red lentils, and for years, it's been one of my favorite sources of protein. Could you speak about, first of all, it's dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Second of all, why are red lentils so good for bodybuilders especially?
They are the most protein rich of all the whole foods. So you're getting the most protein for your buck. They're very anti-inflammatory. They have the most antioxidants of any legume as well. So they're a real little superstar. Very good. And of course, you're getting a good whack of starch as well. So you've got some fuel there.
Yeah. So you're getting carbs and protein. So both the macros, because a lot of people underestimate the importance of carbohydrates for bodybuilding.
I've gone hugely in favour of carbohydrate now. I used to eat 500 grams of animal protein a day when I didn't know better. I now eat about 200 grams of plant protein, and on a bulk, I might end up eating a kilo of carbohydrate. And I have so much. And it feels like the muscles, glycogen holds 3 parts water. So you look, your muscles just suddenly look just bigger. They're volumized, As an omnivorous eater, I'd be eating like tons of chicken, a little paltry amount of rice. And I would be so irritable and so low energy, like it was a chore to do anything, and I was just really grumpy. On this diet, last year at age 44, I got the most ripped ever. I had razor sharp abs. I felt like I was cheating. I was having 4 huge like pasta bowls full of food every day. But of course,
That's awesome.
they're mostly water and fibre, so you get to eat as much as you want, and just so happy, so energised, and the weight, just the fat melts off. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's a strong point for people who are interested in weight loss. That plant-based food is primarily water.
Yeah.
So you get really full. You feel very satisfied, and then you just get hydrated.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just hydration.
And vegetables have 16 times the nutrients of meat, so you're flooding yourself with nutrients. People eating a more junky diet, low on nutrients, they can eat and eat and eat, and it's like they're insatiable, and they keep stuffing in this junk food, but the brain is telling them, like, you need to eat, like there's nutrients missing. So the Broad study, on the other hand, out of New Zealand at the end of 2016, showed that people eating unrestricted amounts of these whole plant foods, on average, they lost a pound of fat a week, eating ad libitum, and their blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides, all came down to within their healthy range. So it's so obvious that this is species specific. Like, it's what we're meant to eat.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
We're primates.
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, we are primates.
Yeah.
Other primates, eat primarily plant-based food.
Yeah.
So in case you haven't noticed by looking in the mirror recently, viewers, you are not a lion. And just a quick follow-up on the red lentils, just for anyone who's never cooked with them before, is like, okay, what the hell am I going to mix this? What do I do with this? Red lentils are great. They absorb anything you put them in.
Yeah.
So I would just personally advise, look to Indian food and Thai food for inspiration, because you can basically make any sauce. Like food is generally, the spices, the herbs, and the sauce that you put in with it is going to be the flavor.
Yes.
So lentils are just a perfect canvas to add whatever flavor you want. And they're going to taste delicious with that. I just kind of get inspired by Indian cooking.
Yeah, I love Indian.
Lentils.
Last night we made a African peanut and lentil stew. So it's kind of like a basic like lentil soup, with some vegetables and some vegetable stock, and then basically some chili and some peanut butter, and just the warmth of the chili and the sort of fats in there. It's so satisfying, so delicious. Like you say, all the flavours are in the seasoning. So, when we eat meat, we don't just eat meat, we slather it with tomato sauce, chili, herbs, spices. We try to make it taste like plants, so we enjoy it. So why eat it? Come on, people.
Most people are animal lovers, and I think
Yes.
that they're only still eating animals because it's habit.
Yes.
It's ignorance about the nutritional aspects of it, and it's fear that.
Yeah. You tell someone a lie, and for enough times it becomes the truth, and we just didn't know better.
Right.
But we're all starting to wake up now, and it's a beautiful time.
The UK seems to be leading the world in the vegan revolution. If I had to put money on it, I might guess that Britain is going to be the first country to outlaw the slaughter of animals. It could be wrong, could be Israel, could be Germany, but the UK is just killing it, if you'll excuse the expression.
In a good
lately.
way.
Any insight, what is it, any idea what it could be about your culture, about your history that is making Britain
I'm not really sure, because like with Israel, like they have been oppressed, they know what it's like to be subjugated, so I think they get it.
Right.
They get that, they put themselves in the place of the animals. Of course, the UK, like we tended to be more of the oppressors in terms of our empire and whatever, which I'm not very proud of. So it's definitely not that. I don't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, we call ourselves a nation of animal lovers. That's something that supposedly Britons pride themselves on. So whether it's to do with that, I think more people are vegan for the animals than for health, because I know very few vegans that would eat what I would call a healthy diet. So.
I did speak to a British friend once who said that, I asked him a similar question. He said, British people have had dogs in their culture for a long time.
Yeah.
Humans have had dogs for 10,000 years, but dogs were more like slaves, just used to guard the house or herd animals.
Yeah.
But in British culture, for hundreds of years now, dogs have been seen as family members. So once you have a dog as a family member, you've broken that species barrier and say, this animal clearly has a soul, a consciousness, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And their life matters to me. And then it's not such a big jump from a dog to a pig.
Yeah, very
so
much
that
so.
might be a reason.
Yeah.
My only other hunch might be that Britain is just a very educated country, and that there is a correlation, a statistical correlation we know, between higher education levels and veganism. So it could just be that you know, you're more predisposed to both the ethical, the environmental, and the health arguments might appeal more to British people because their knowledge base is higher. And that could be a practical lesson, just that education is important in general, but vegan education is important, you know, bringing it into schools, you know, bringing it to public spaces.
Yeah, that's huge. I love how now it's the children, like, teaching the adults. So many times I see that the child goes vegan and then the parents go vegan. It's an amazing time.
Yeah, I'm working on my parents.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
nice.
the final question for the day, for bodybuilding, for people, because you're gigantic, for people who are interested in getting into bodybuilding, is there any differences between vegan bodybuilding or animal-based bodybuilding? At the end of the day, you just lift a lot of weight. You know, the same advice that applies to an animal-eating bodybuilder.
You know, lift heavy, be progressive. The only difference between vegan and non-vegan bodybuilding, I would say, while we're younger, we can eat a poor diet and get away with it and be amazing athletes. Into middle and older ages now, the vegan athletes are taking off and we're leaving the omnivorous athletes in the dust. So all I'd say is the only difference is you're going to benefit more the older you get from it. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And Game Changers did show that, you know, we have higher endurance levels. That's actually, that movie gave me an epiphany in the gym because I was kind of plateauing for years, lifting the same amount of weight. You know, decent, I guess, for me, but plateauing. And when I saw that movie and I realized, wait a sec, we have a huge advantage in our endurance. I don't really care. I've run a marathon, but I don't care about running 42 kilometers in general. But I leave the gym. I was leaving the gym with tons of energy.
Yes.
Like, why am I leaving?
That's the difference.
I may not be able to do more reps or lift more weight, but I still have more energy. I could do more sets.
Nice.
So after I saw that movie, I'm just going to spend a little bit more time in the gym. I'm going to add, you know, 30, 50% more sets. And once I did that, and I could do it because I had the energy.
Yes.
I noticed now I'm starting to make more gains. Because,
nice.
You know, so I think we should use that to our advantage. Yeah.
Definitely. And, you know, and the recovery is so much quicker as well, you know. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why the NFL and the NBA and so many athletes are going vegan now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We're, you know, vegans, you know, a lot of people think we're a bit crazy, but it's just that we're from the future and that, you know, they've not caught up yet.
Exactly. I'm a giant Star Trek fan, and Trekkies know that in the future they obviously don't eat animals anymore.
Yeah,
that's
man.
for sure. If there is a future because of climate change, there's no question we're going to be vegan. We're going to be driving electric cars, or there won't be a future. It's pretty simple.
Exactly that.
So, okay, I mean, that was all my questions. I'm really thankful.
That was
you know,
great. I've had
a
great time, Gabriel. No, that's that was awesome, and I had a lot of fun. Thank you, brother. It's really good chatting to you.
Absolutely. Same with you.